All right, well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Schola. I am studying for my master's in design studies at Harvard's Graduate School of Design, and I have a background in architecture. And this summer I had the honor of working with Vasaamaha Consultants in Hyderabad, India. It was an incredible experience. And as you can see here, my project really focused on the colonial layer of Hyderabad. So designing an adaptive reuse project for the British residency to become a Nizam British Museum and Cultural Center and really showcase the vast history and important history of the colonial layer of Hyderabad. So I thought I'd begin by just thanking everyone. Thanking everyone at Vasaamaha Consultants and a lot of the professionals and friends of the consultancy that really helped me to get a grasp and understanding the heritage of Hyderabad. I had never been to India or Asia before, so this is fully a deep dive into a completely new culture, and I'm so grateful for these people, especially Vasanta, Garu, Bindu, and Jesse. I know you guys are on the call, so thank you so much for really sharing your home with me. So I'll introduce you to my home for the summer, which is Hyderabad. As you can see in this map, it is the southeast. Well, this is actually Hyderabad in the 1700s. We'll begin there, talking particularly about the Nizam rule. The Nizam was the monarch of Hyderabad state beginning in 1724, with coming from the Mughal dynasty, and we have 7 prominent Nizams. Fun fact: he was the richest man in the world at that time, and Forbes still recognizes the Nizam as the 5th richest man in all of history, which is pretty intense. But you can see here from the vast dynasty during the colonial period, which began in 1700s, the British colonial period, we see the addition of the British residents, British ambassadors to the Nizam's court. So they were speaking for the East India Company at the time, and eventually the princely crown post 1857 mutiny, or the First War of Independence in at that time period. So we have a total of 79 residents who worked with the Nizam, under Nizam, during this 169-year period, acting as a protectorate for Hyderabad and for indirect rule. So this also diminishes Hyderabad quite a bit, as we see here. What we see of Hyderabad today also encompasses a lot of the shared discourse, the change in the urban landscape, which happened through the Secunderabad cantonment. We can see here, I believe you can see my mouse, which is the development of the northern portion, just above Hyderabad, as well as addition of roadways, the railway. New typologies were introduced during this time period, such as the clock tower, churches, grammar schools. And then we have highlighted in red the British residency, which was designed by the 6th resident of the British in Hyderabad during that time. And the prominence of this built heritage is really my focus during this time period, because as this built heritage began, as did a lot of the social and cultural changes, which is not highlighted in much of the museums, the multitude of museums that you'll see in Hyderabad today. So in this proposal, we're talking about the first city museum, which talks about the history and development of Hyderabad and Secunderabad together. They're known as the twin cities as well, which is pretty interesting. So something that's also important with highlighting this history is the fact that today we see it in popular culture, the residency building itself, as the symbol of love. And it's really cool because before I came to Hyderabad, I actually got to read the book that's really put this residency on the map, which is White Mughals Here, with a book called For the Love of Begum preceding it. And it talks about the love story of the 6th resident who built this residency, Achilles Kirkpatrick, with Karanisa, you see on the left-hand side, and she was the daughter of a Mughal nobleman. So this story talks about it's a true story of cultures, connecting and clashing, and how this also began to change the built environment. But it's not the only story of Hyderabad's British residency, which is why we are really focusing on sharing a total holistic story of the residency through this proposal for an adaptive reuse museum and cultural center. So this is quickly the aim, proposing the exhibition use of British residency, also connecting existing structures, colonial structures, structures built during that time period. We focus on the Hashmonaganj Gate, which I'll get into quickly, and then showcasing this historical significance and the surprisingly friendly relations between the British and Nizam, even throughout that first War of Independence. So, yeah. Looking at the British residency here on the right-hand side, you'll see the residency today, which is the Darbar building. This central building, which is that one circled right here, is well preserved. It's recently preserved, but the rest of the residency, as you'll see around, this is an 1857 map, is not being preserved. So another opportunity in this proposal is to showcase the opportunity to use the full residency building for the building itself as its history and its culture and its significance, but showcasing what has happened throughout that building. So this becomes our concept. So designing heritage as a bridge, encouraging further heritage visits. So this map showcases a number of other colonial structures built during this time period. An important one being the Hashmonaganj Gate, as I mentioned. This was dated pre-1830s because of the British emblem on the top. And beautifully, it's become a part of the infrastructure of the area, which is, it used to be called Troop Bazaar, designed by the British, but now it is Sultan Bazaar. But it's also being encroached on and it isn't being preserved. So an opportunity to bridge, what else has happened during that time period. For heritage to be an educator. So looking at the existing uses and the past uses of the site, creating the gift shop being a bazaar, the Darbar Hall, kind of incorporating its past use as a performance hall, but for contemporary performances and craft. An addition of a research center and a library, encouraging further discourse. The residency building is actually designed it's currently a state protecting monument as of 2006, but it was also gifted to Osmania University College for Women, now Mahila University. So it's also this beautiful discourse of the existing university community. And then finally, residency or designing the residency as a museum and cultural center to showcase heritage as a steward. So recognizing the flexibility of this space, we've added in addition, as well as showcasing what preservation can do or what we can do to celebrate the new uses of spaces and their past history. So these images are showcasing the destruction of the printing wing and the office wing of the residency during the 1908 Musi River flood. So an opportunity for this that we've just had in discussion is to kind of allow this to maintain its kind of this destruction state, just to further encourage the research of history. So the addition doesn't have to reconnect or completely redesign history from the past. So we've also looked at the full site, which, looking again at the Hashmonaganj Gate, it's an amazing area that showcases the colonial history of this gate, and it's kind of ambiguous use. We're not completely sure exactly how or when it was used, besides pre-1830s, but being on the site and getting to see that in the morning, this area becomes a place to feed cows, which is a sacred animal in the culture, as well as in the afternoon, it's changed into this complete bazaar area for like the sharing or the selling of clothing and goods. So how can we connect this to the British residency itself, since it is right adjacent to it? We've looked at an existing subway, which is not in total use. That's actually a part of this corridor of bookshops. It's an alleyway that connects one side of the bookstore to the other side of the bazaar, which is partly in use now, as you can see here. So the hope is to kind of further extend that use to connect it to the residency complex and the historic walk that you see on the floor plan, or on the site plan. Again, looking at the cultural history of this site, we also see this extension of what the residency originally was used as through this 1800 painting. So continuing this conversation of heritage and the use of the site in the past and how we can reconnect it to the present. So it's kind of hard to explain the full extent of our research. So I wanted to also share that we do have a report that is coming out and I believe will be shared through World Heritage and and through Vasaamaha Consultants. So this is just the beginning of my full experience in Hyderabad, which has also been shared through a lot of video interviews that I've done with professionals throughout Hyderabad, or throughout India in general, actually. Thankfully, I got to go to Delhi, I got to experience Pune, and just really dive into the full culture, well, as much of the culture as you can of India, very extensive. And I've shared a lot of that actually on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that just shares the vlogs of my experiences in India. And we actually got to extend that to Vasaamaha's own YouTube channel, which was really cool. A part of my internship was to begin this new discourse, a new space for discourse through their social media platform. So the bottom left, bottom right-hand corner shows interviews that I've done with a lot of professionals, which will be showcased on the QR codes that you see on the right, on your left-hand side. So yes, I just wanted to say thank you again, Vasaamaha, and all of the fellow interns and researchers who really helped make this experience possible. So thank you.